The darkness between stars held secrets that most civilized species preferred to ignore. Out here, beyond the protected trade routes and diplomatic corridors, space belonged to those willing to take what they wanted. The research vessel Gentle Current drifted through the Andromeda Veil, its bioluminescent hull pulsing with soft green light as the Kalar scientists inside catalogued rare stellar fungi. They had no weapons. Their species had never needed such barbaric tools. Inside the laboratory bay, lead researcher Phoenix adjusted his optical sensors, his translucent skin shimmering with peaceful blue tones as he examined a fascinating spore sample through his microscope. The Kalar evolved on a world of endless meadows and warm rains, where the most dangerous creature was a berry bush that could give you mild indigestion. Violence was something they read about in historical texts from less fortunate species. Phoenix, these samples are extraordinary, his assistant Virix chirped, her voice like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. This fungus could revolutionize agriculture across 17 systems. Phoenix's skin flickered with happy yellow patterns. Send the preliminary data to the Galactic Science Institute. They will want to analyze this immediately. What they didn't know was that 3 ships had been tracking them for the past 2 hours. The vessels belonged to the Kraith Dominion, a species the Galactic Cooperative had only encountered twice, both times resulting in violent raids. The Kraith were hunters by nature, their home world a savage place of perpetual twilight and predatory evolution. They measured worth by conquest and saw peaceful species as prey waiting to be harvested. Commander Vornik stood on the bridge of his warship Bone Collector, his 4 arms crossed over his armored chest as he watched the gentle research vessel on his tactical display. His reptilian face twisted into something resembling a smile, revealing rows of serrated teeth. Such trusting creatures, he hissed to his second officer. They broadcast their findings openly, advertising their location to anyone listening. They deserve what comes next. The holding cells are prepared, the officer replied. Kalar researchers fetch excellent prices in the outer markets. Their knowledge of biological systems makes them valuable slaves. Vornik nodded. Begin the attack. Disable their engines first. I want them alive and terrified. Light years away, the human patrol ship Thunderhead cut through the void at steady velocity. Captain Dawson reviewed supply reports in his ready room, a cup of coffee growing cold on his desk. The Thunderhead was a Halifax-class destroyer, built with the redundant systems and heavy armor that characterized all human military vessels. Other species called them over-engineered. Humans called them prepared. Lieutenant Torres burst through the door without knocking, her dark eyes wide with urgency. Captain, we just intercepted a distress signal. Kalar research vessel under attack in the Andromeda Veil. Dawson was on his feet instantly, coffee forgotten. How far? 23 minutes at maximum burn. The signal cut off 12 seconds after transmission began. Dawson's jaw tightened. The Kalar were friends to humanity, one of the few species who had welcomed humans into the Galactic Cooperative without reservation or suspicion. When Earth suffered the Great Blight 15 years ago, Kalar scientists had worked around the clock to develop resistant crop strains, asking nothing in return except friendship. Sound General Quarters. All hands to battle stations. Plot an intercept course and engage maximum thrust. Torres hesitated. Sir, protocol requires we wait for backup. We're alone out here. Protocol can wait. Those people saved millions of lives on Earth. We're not leaving them to die while we file paperwork. The alarm klaxons echoed through the ship as crew members rushed to their stations. In the weapons bay, Gunner Chief Briggs oversaw the loading of rail gun ammunition, each tungsten rod capable of punching through starship hulls like paper. In engineering, Chief Ramirez coaxed every ounce of power from the fusion reactors, the deck plates vibrating under the strain. On the bridge, Tactical Officer Patterson ran simulations on his console, his hands moving with practiced efficiency. Captain, if the attackers are still present when we arrive, we'll be outnumbered. Standard pirate formation suggests at least 3 hostile vessels. Then we'll have to be unpredictable, Dawson replied, settling into his command chair. What do we know about attacks in this region? 7 incidents in the past 4 months. All targeting civilian vessels. No survivors recovered. Ships identified as Kraith Dominion based on weapon signatures. Dawson felt cold anger settle in his stomach. The Kraith had ignored every diplomatic overture from the cooperative, responding to peace delegations with violence. They understood only one language, and humanity had become fluent in it during their bloody history. Time to intercept? 18 minutes, sir. Communications, send a priority message to Cooperative Command. Inform them we are responding to the Kalar distress call and requesting immediate backup. Include everything we know about Kraith tactics. Message sent, Captain, the communications officer confirmed. The Thunderhead raced through space, its human crew preparing for the violence that other species found incomprehensible. In the armory, security teams checked plasma rifles and tactical armor. In Medical Bay, Dr. Hammond prepared trauma units and surgical equipment, her team running through emergency procedures. Deep in the ship's computer core, the tactical AI designated Odin processed combat scenarios at incredible speed, preparing response patterns for every possible encounter. Human ships had learned long ago that artificial intelligence combined with human intuition created devastating effectiveness in combat. Dawson stood and walked to the main view screen, watching the stars streak past as the ship pushed its engines beyond normal operational limits. Other species built ships to last forever with minimal maintenance. Humans built ships that could survive hell and keep fighting. Captain, Patterson said quietly. The crew is ready. Whatever we find out there, we'll handle it. Dawson nodded, thinking about the gentle Kalar scientists who spent their lives trying to make the galaxy a better place. They had no concept of cruelty or predation. They trusted that civilization meant safety. 10 minutes to intercept, Torres announced, reduce speed to stealth approach velocity. Kill all non-essential lights and emissions. I want to see them before they see us. The Thunderhead's engines throttled back, the ship becoming a dark ghost sliding through the cosmic ocean. On the bridge, display screens showed the Andromeda Veil ahead, its pink and orange gases creating a natural hiding place for hunters and prey alike. Scanning for vessels, Patterson reported. Multiple contacts ahead. 4 ships total. One matches Kalar configuration. The others are larger, unknown design. They're surrounding the Kalar vessel. Are they still firing? Negative, sir. The Kalar ship appears disabled but intact. The hostile vessels are maintaining formation around it. Dawson's tactical mind processed the situation instantly. The Kraith weren't trying to destroy the research vessel. They wanted whatever, or whoever, was inside. Battle stations confirmed across all decks, Torres said. Weapons hot and ready. Dawson returned to his chair, his expression calm despite the adrenaline flooding his system. Humans had evolved as pursuit predators on a world that tried to kill them every day. This was what they were built for. Take us in slow. I want a full tactical analysis before we announce ourselves. And someone wake up Lieutenant Pierce. If this goes bad, I want our best pilot at the helm. The Thunderhead glided forward into the nebula's colorful embrace, its sensors reaching out through the interference to paint a picture of what awaited them. Somewhere ahead, hunters circled their prey, confident in their superiority. They had never encountered Deathworlders before. The Andromeda Veil wrapped around the Thunderhead like a shroud of colored mist, its ionized gases playing tricks with the sensors. Captain Dawson stood behind Tactical Officer Patterson's station, watching the display as it filtered through layers of interference to reveal the scene ahead. The Kalar research vessel hung motionless in space, its bioluminescent hull flickering weakly like a dying heartbeat. Scorch marks scarred its delicate exterior where energy weapons had burned through outer plating. 3 Kraith warships circled it in a triangular formation, each vessel twice the size of the research ship, their hulls bristling with weapon emplacements and sensor arrays. "Analysis complete, Captain," Patterson said, his voice steady despite the tension radiating from his shoulders. "The lead vessel is approximately 400 meters long, heavily armed with plasma cannons and missile batteries. The other 2 are escort frigates, lighter but faster. Combined firepower is substantial." Dawson studied the formation with the calculating eye of someone who had survived 3 major fleet engagements during humanity's territorial wars. The Kraith positioned themselves with military precision, covering all escape vectors while maintaining overlapping fields of fire. Professional hunters who knew their business. "Life signs on the Kalar vessel?" he asked. Dr. Hammond's voice came through the comm system from Medical Bay. "Sensors detecting 14 Kalar life signatures. All appear alive but several are showing elevated stress indicators. Captain, their physiology is fragile. If those ships decide to finish them off, the Kalar won't survive explosive decompression." Lieutenant Torres turned from her communication station, frustration evident on her face. "I'm picking up transmissions between the Kraith ships. They're discussing how many prisoners they can fit in their holding cells. They're treating this like a shopping trip." Dawson felt the familiar cold focus settle over him, the same mental state that had kept him alive through impossible situations. Anger was useless in combat. What mattered was turning enemy advantages into weaknesses. "What's their tactical blind spot?" he asked Patterson. The tactical officer zoomed in on the formation. "They're focused entirely on the Kalar ship. Standard predator behavior, all attention on the prey. Their rear sensors are active but not prioritized. They're not expecting company. Because no one has ever challenged them before," Dawson said quietly. "They're used to victims, not opponents. Chief Ramirez, can you give me a 5-second burst at 120% reactor output?" The engineer's voice crackled through the comm, tinged with something like excitement. "I can give you 7 seconds before we risk core destabilization." "What are you planning, Captain?" "Something stupid that might just work. Helm, prepare for combat acceleration on my mark. Weapons, I want rail guns loaded with cluster munitions and targeting solutions for all 3 hostile vessels. Priority target is the lead ship's engine section." Lieutenant Pierce, the ship's pilot, had arrived on the bridge moments earlier, still fastening his uniform jacket. His reputation for impossible maneuvers had earned him the nickname Ghost among the crew. "Captain, if we're doing what I think we're doing, I'll need full authority over maneuvering thrusters." "You have it. This is your show once we commit." Dawson moved to his command chair and activated the ship-wide address system. "All hands, this is the captain. In approximately 90 seconds, we will engage 3 hostile vessels to rescue the Kalar research team. The enemy outnumbers and outguns us. They also have no idea what humans are capable of. Engineering, I need everything you've got. Medical, prepare for casualties. Security teams, stand by for possible boarding action. Everyone else, hold on to something solid." He closed the channel and looked at his bridge crew. Torres met his eyes and nodded. Patterson's fingers danced across his console, refining firing solutions. Pierce cracked his knuckles and gripped the helm controls with the casual confidence of someone who treated physics like a suggestion. "Sir," Torres said softly. "Backup won't arrive for at least another hour. If this goes wrong, then we make sure it doesn't go wrong. The Kraith think they're the apex predators out here. Time to educate them about Earth's food chain." Dawson pulled up a tactical overview on his command display. The Thunderhead was smaller than any of the Kraith vessels, but human engineering philosophy had always prioritized survivability and hitting power over size. Where the Kraith ships had elegant curves and exposed systems, human vessels were angular blocks of armor and redundant components. "Tactical, on my mark, launch a spread of sensor drones toward the nebula's outer edge. I want the Kraith to think rescue ships are arriving. Drones ready, sir. Helm, plot an approach vector that keeps the lead Kraith ship between us and the escorts for as long as possible. Use the debris field from the Kalar vessel's damaged sections as cover for our initial run. Pierce's fingers flew across his controls. Course plotted. It's going to be tight, Captain. Margin of error is less than 200 meters. Then don't make any errors. Weapons, once we clear the debris field, I want a full spread from the forward rail guns into the lead ship's engine manifolds, followed immediately by a spread of high-explosive missiles at the nearest escort. We need to create chaos and make them react instead of respond. Patterson smiled grimly. They're going to lose formation integrity the moment we hit them. Standard doctrine will have them scattering to regroup, which splits their firepower. Exactly. And that's when Pierce demonstrates why the Academy gave him a medal and a warning label. A few nervous chuckles rippled across the bridge, easing the tension without diminishing the focus. Captain, Torres said. I'm detecting communication traffic increasing between the Kraith vessels. They're preparing to board the Kalar ship. We're out of time. Dawson's jaw tightened. All stations report readiness. Weapons hot and locked. Engineering at full combat power. Medical standing by. Security teams in position. Helm ready for combat maneuvers. Dawson took a slow breath, his mind running through contingencies and backup plans. In his experience, no battle ever went according to plan, but having a plan gave you something to deviate from intelligently. Launch sensor drones. 3-second delay, then Helm initiates attack run. Weapons free on my command. The drones shot away from the Thunderhead, their tiny engines flaring briefly before they disappeared into the nebula's interference. On the Kraith command ship, alarm systems would be screaming about multiple contacts approaching from an unexpected vector. They're reacting, Patterson reported. The escorts are shifting formation to address the drone signatures. Perfect. Helm, execute attack run. Maximum acceleration. The Thunderhead surged forward like a predator striking from ambush. Pierce's hands moved with fluid precision, threading the destroyer through chunks of debris that would have gutted a less armored vessel. The distance to the Kraith formation collapsed in seconds. They've detected us, Torres said. The lead ship is trying to turn. Too slow, Dawson replied. Weapons, fire. The rail gun spoke with electromagnetic fury, hurling tungsten penetrators at a fraction of light speed. The projectiles crossed the distance in heartbeats and slammed into the Kraith flagship's engine section with devastating precision. Armor plating designed to deflect energy weapons provided no defense against kinetic impacts traveling at relativistic speeds. The rods punched through the hull and detonated their explosive cores deep inside the engine compartment. Secondary explosions rippled along the Kraith ship's stern as fuel lines ruptured and reactor containment fields fluctuated. The massive vessel shuddered and began a slow, uncontrolled spin as its maneuvering systems failed. Missiles away, Patterson announced. A spread of 6 high-explosive missiles streaked toward the nearest escort frigate, their engines burning bright against the nebula's pastel backdrop. The Kraith ship deployed countermeasures, filling space with chaff and electronic noise, but human missile guidance systems had been refined through decades of war. 4 missiles lost lock and detonated harmlessly. 2 found their target. The explosions tore through the escort's forward section, breaching hull plates and venting atmosphere in glittering streams of frozen gas. Hard to port, Dawson commanded. Get us between the Kalar vessel and the remaining escort. Pierce spun the Thunderhead through a turn that would have torn apart a ship with less robust inertial dampening. The destroyer positioned itself like a shield between the disabled research vessel and the last functional Kraith warship. Incoming fire, Patterson warned. Energy bolts slashed through space, impacts hammering against the Thunderhead's forward shields. The bridge lights flickered as power systems compensated for the energy drain. Shields holding at 70%, Torres reported. Return fire. Target their weapon emplacements. I want them worried about survival, not attacking. The Thunderhead's guns found their rhythm, a precise cadence of destruction that spoke of countless training hours and combat experience. Rail gun rounds and missiles reached out across the void, each salvo calculated to maximize damage while conserving ammunition. The remaining Kraith escort tried to maneuver away, its captain realizing too late that they had engaged something far beyond their experience. Human warships didn't fight with the elegant dance of most galactic cooperative vessels. They fought with brutal efficiency, turning combat into mathematics and geometry where the variables were measured in shattered hulls and disabled systems. The damaged escort is withdrawing, Patterson said. The flagship is attempting emergency repairs but their engines are completely offline. Dawson opened a channel to the Kraith command ship. Kraith vessels, this is Captain Dawson of the human destroyer Thunderhead. You have attacked a vessel under galactic cooperative protection. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded, or we will resume fire. The response came in harsh, guttural syllables translated by the ship's computer. Human vessel, you have made a grave error. The Dominion does not forget insults. We will hunt you across the stars. You're welcome to try. But first you'll need working engines. I'm waiting for your surrender. Silence stretched across the communication channel. The bridge of the Thunderhead hummed with controlled tension as Captain Dawson waited for the Kraith response. Through the main view screen, the damaged flagship tumbled slowly through space, trailing debris and frozen gases from its shattered engine compartment. The remaining functional escort had retreated to a safe distance, its weapons still powered but no longer actively targeting. Lieutenant Torres broke the silence, her voice carrying a note of surprise. Captain, I'm receiving a transmission from the Kalar vessel. Audio only. Their communications array is badly damaged. Put it through. The gentle voice that filled the bridge carried the musical quality characteristic of Kalar speech, though it trembled with exhaustion and fear. Human vessel, this is lead researcher Phoenix of the Gentle Current. We thought we would die here. We thought no one would come. Dawson felt something tighten in his chest. You're safe now, researcher Phoenix. Hold your position while we secure the area. Medical teams are standing by to assist with any injuries. Captain Dawson, the Kraith commander, has informed us that we will be hunted for this interference. They say the Dominion never forgets, never forgives. We are so sorry to bring this trouble to humanity. With respect, researcher Phoenix, humanity didn't survive on a death world by backing down from threats. You concentrate on your crew. Let us worry about the Kraith. Patterson turned from his tactical station, concern evident in his expression. Sir, I'm detecting power fluctuations in the Kraith flagship. They're redirecting energy from life support to weapons systems. I think they're preparing for a suicide run. Dawson's eyes narrowed. Can they still maneuver? Minimal thrust capability, but enough to close distance. If they detonate their reactor core at close range, the explosion would destroy both them and the Kalar vessel. The mathematics of the situation crystallized in Dawson's mind with brutal clarity. The Kraith commander would rather die than face the humiliation of defeat. That kind of thinking came from a culture built on dominance and fear, where showing weakness meant death. Helm, position us directly between the flagship and the Kalar ship. If they want to reach those scientists, they'll have to go through us. Captain, Torres said quietly, our shields won't survive a reactor detonation at close range. The whole ship would be vaporized. Then we'll make sure they don't get close enough to try. Weapons, target their power distribution nodes. Surgical strikes only. I want their weapons offline without destroying the ship. Pierce adjusted the Thunderhead's position with minute thruster burns, placing the destroyer precisely between the two vessels. Through the view screen, Dawson could see the Kraith flagship beginning its slow, determined crawl forward, its damaged hull groaning with the stress of movement. Dr. Hammond's voice came through the comm system. Captain, I've been monitoring the Kalar life signs. Several of them are injured. Their species doesn't handle trauma well. If we don't get medical assistance to them soon, we could lose them. Dawson made his decision. Chief Briggs, prepare a boarding team. Full tactical gear. You're going across to the Kalar vessel to evacuate their crew. Sir, Patterson interjected, if we launch shuttles, we'll be vulnerable. The remaining Kraith escort could interpret it as an opportunity to attack. Then we give them something else to think about. Communications, open a channel to that escort vessel. Torres worked her controls. Channel open, sir. Kraith escort ship, this is Captain Dawson. Your flagship is preparing to commit suicide rather than accept defeat. I'm offering you a choice. Power down your weapons and withdraw from this system, or stay and die with your commander when we're forced to destroy his ship. You have 60 seconds to decide. The response came almost immediately, the translated voice carrying an edge of desperation. Human Captain, if we abandon our commander, we will be executed for cowardice when we return to Dominion space. Then don't return to Dominion space. The Galactic Cooperative offers asylum to those seeking to escape oppressive regimes. You could start new lives, free from a system that values death over wisdom. Silence fell across the channel. On the tactical display, the escort ship held its position, unmoving. 30 seconds until the flagship enters critical range, Patterson warned. Dawson opened the channel again. Kraith escort, I'm out of time. Make your choice. The escort ship's engines flared to life, and for a heartbeat, Dawson thought he had miscalculated. Then the vessel turned away from the conflict, its profile shrinking as it accelerated toward the edge of the nebula. They're withdrawing, Captain, Torres said, relief evident in her voice. Heading out of the system at maximum velocity. One problem solved. Weapons, execute firing solution on the flagship. Target those power nodes now. The Thunderhead's rail gun spoke with precise fury, each shot calculated to disable rather than destroy. Tungsten rounds punched through armor plating and severed energy conduits, plunging sections of the Kraith flagship into darkness. The massive ship shuddered with each impact, its forward momentum stuttering as power systems failed. Direct hits on all targets, Patterson reported. Their weapon systems are completely offline. Reactor output is dropping to minimal levels. Dawson allowed himself a moment to breathe. Launch the boarding team. Get those Kalar scientists to safety. 2 shuttles detached from the Thunderhead's docking bay, their engines glowing as they crossed the short distance to the damaged research vessel. Chief Briggs led his security team aboard, their training and discipline evident in every movement. Minutes later, Briggs's voice crackled through the comm, Captain, we've reached the Kalar crew. They're scared but alive. Some injuries, nothing critical. Beginning evacuation now. Through the viewscreen, Dawson watched as the gentle scientists were carefully guided into the shuttles, their translucent forms seeming impossibly fragile against the harsh backdrop of space and violence. Phoenix was the last to board, pausing at the airlock to look back at his damaged ship with visible sorrow. All personnel accounted for, Briggs reported. Returning to the Thunderhead. As the shuttles docked and the Kalar were transferred to Medical Bay, Dawson finally allowed the tension to drain from his shoulders. The bridge crew remained at their stations, professional and alert, but he could see the relief in their eyes. Captain, Torres said, Cooperative Command is responding to our earlier message. A task force is en route, estimated arrival in 45 minutes. They're requesting a full report and asking if we require assistance. Tell them the situation is under control. Hostile vessels neutralized, Kalar crew rescued safely. Request a salvage team for the research vessel and a security detail to take the Kraith prisoners into custody. Patterson pulled up a new display on his tactical screen. Sir, I'm reading multiple incoming contacts. Long-range sensors identify them as cooperative fleet vessels. Looks like word spread fast about a human ship engaging the Kraith. Within the hour, the Andromeda Vale was filled with ships bearing the flags of a dozen different species. The Kalar government sent their finest medical vessel to retrieve Phoenix and his team. Cooperative security forces arrived to take control of the disabled Kraith flagship and its crew. Dawson stood in the medical bay, watching as Dr. Hammond finished treating the last of the injured Kalar researchers. Phoenix approached him slowly, his skin shimmering with patterns that the translation software identified as profound gratitude. "Captain Dawson, my people have no words adequate to express what you have done for us. You risked your ship and crew for researchers you had never met." Dawson shook his head. "Your people saved millions on Earth when we faced the Great Blight. You asked nothing in return. We just returned the favor. But the Kraith will remember this. They will seek revenge against humanity. Let them try. They'll find that humans learned a long time ago how to deal with predators. We became something they could never anticipate." Dawson placed a hand on the scientist's shoulder, gentle despite the strength in his grip. "You focus on your research, Phoenix. Make the galaxy a better place. We'll handle the monsters." Later, as the Thunderhead prepared to resume its patrol route, Dawson stood alone in his ready room, reviewing the after-action reports. A chime at his door announced Lieutenant Torres's arrival. "Captain, there's something you should see. It's spreading across the galactic communication network." She handed him a data pad showing news feeds from across known space. The headlines told the story: "Human ship defeats Kraith raiders. Deathworlders rescue peaceful scientists. Earth's Navy proves its worth." But it was a message from the Kalar Council that caught his attention. They had issued a formal statement declaring humanity to be guardians of the gentle, a title given only to those species who use their strength to protect rather than dominate. "The crew performed well," Dawson said simply. "They're calling you a hero across half the cooperative worlds. Heroes are people who don't come home. We all came home. That's what matters." Torres smiled. "The Kalar want to name a star after you. Phoenix specifically requested that honor." Dawson looked out his viewport at the stars beyond, each point of light representing worlds and civilizations, some peaceful, some dangerous. Humanity had earned its place among them not through conquest but through standing firm when others could not. Tell them to name it after the ship instead. The Thunderhead and her crew. This wasn't about one person. It was about what we can accomplish when we stand together. As the destroyer jumped to faster than light travel, leaving the Andromeda Vale behind, Dawson reflected on the day's events. The galaxy was learning what it meant when a species from a death world decided to use its hard-won strength for something greater than survival. The Kraith Dominion would indeed remember this day. But so would every peaceful species that had ever feared the darkness between stars. They would remember that somewhere out there, watching over the void, were the humans who refused to let fear rule the galaxy. And that knowledge would change everything.